It's Wednesday. The Ring camera is right in front of my face. Such a deal. And the car's in the box there. And what I've got are a bunch of little fiddly bits, as I called them: suspension parts, roll bar, air intake covers, and side view mirrors that need to be attached before it's finished. These, at least I know where they go. These suspension parts that go on the back here, it's unclear exactly how they're supposed to be attached. I've got a couple of pictures. One I took myself of the car. And the one on the top pretty clearly goes, no, the one on the bottom pretty clearly goes to the bottom of the spring over shock. Down there. Okay. The one on the top, I mean, it's pretty clear where it attaches to the body up here, goes somewhere up here. And it's not really clear where. I think here. I think it attaches, as far as I can see, on especially on this picture where you can kind of see it going up here. There's that little kind of rounded bit which is there. It kind of goes. Looks like it goes on the inside of it, but that can't work because there's a bar there already. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to just try to fit these pieces together somehow and see how it goes. The suspension parts, the issues there are, they're not going to fit. I just know they're not, very well. And so I'll have to do the best I can. These, I know where they go, but the issue is getting them positioned right, so that when they go on, they're oriented correctly, because I don't want the adhesive that I'm using to stick them on to smear the paint. See how it's kind of wiggling? It's really dark on your screen. You really can't see it very well. But they kind of, if it's not on there just right, to go on there just right the very first time. And yeah. So I'll see how that goes. I'm actually tempted to use rubber cement. It doesn't hold very well, but at least if it's messed up, it doesn't mess up the paint. The roll bar is pretty straightforward, but it's just hard to get into place. And the side view mirrors, who knows what kind of a challenge those will present. But these things, the velocity stacks, it's just not well attached, but it doesn't matter because they're covered up. Okay, what I'm going to do is take it out of the box. And just like with the decals, I need to have it kind of tipped up so I can see what I'm doing with these suspension parts. There's two on each side, and they're a little bit different from each other in terms of these brackets. They're just not identical. One's a little longer than the others. So I'm going to take one of each here. To make an effort see how they might fit. there where it's supposed to go in. It looks like it's supposed to do this. Up here, like that, pretty much. Actually, well, it's in, maybe it's actually in pretty solid. I don't think I'm just not going to mess with it. That was weird. I mean, it just sort of clicked into place and it's not going anywhere. See what happens with the top one. It attaches. Not long enough. It's not long enough to attach to anything. They're all the same length. That one's slightly longer. Maybe I got it in the wrong place. See, I'll try it here. This is the one I just put in the bottom. I might have to take it off. Yeah, nice. Two of them are just slightly longer than the others. See what happens with this one now. The other one just sort of snapped into place. This one. Yeah, it's going to be that kind of day, isn't it? Well, it can't have that blob on the end. Top goes on. Slightly longer one. I guess, it's just going to go there because that's where it touches. They need to be they need to be shaped a little bit. This would work better if that actually went into that hole on the side of the car there. That's how it goes anyway. And it's not going to stay, but it's pretty close. I'm going to put a little bit of contact cement on these, I think, and just get that in like that. Like that. Should hold okay. Being really careful not to touch the decals. They're very fragile and attached, not real well. Okay, well, at least I can get the bottom one in like that. That one's pretty straightforward, and then I'll do the top. At least I'm seeing how it works. Trying to make that a little bit. That's just in the way. The old fingers are not working all that well here. I messed it up. Which is which? This is really, you know, thought I got these, but now I'm not happy with it. I might have to do a little touching up on this. There's seam molding marks. The seam marks are showing pretty badly on these. It might. I mean, it really doesn't look good. I'm gonna delay this a little bit and repaint these. It won't take too long. It just needs to dry. But there's significant flaws in the plastic molding. So you'll just be patient with me as I touch these up. Especially here where they show up in front. This top one especially. when they mold these things, the mold comes together, and if it's not tight, it seeps out. Up with a ridge, a little narrow ridge. That has to be repainted. Yeah, this one too. Prep work on this just wasn't good enough. The ends, I think what I was thinking was that I'd have to manipulate the ends of these anyway, so they would fit better, but it's more than that. Much up there too. There's always something, that keeps stuff from getting done. And this is that something. And I could attach them and then do the touch up, but I don't want to do that here because I don't want to get aluminum paint on the green. Before I paint them, I'll do the other ones too. I'm sure that they've got the same issue. Yeah, they do. Well, yeah, I stopped talking too, didn't I? Well, at least it's on camera mostly. That's an unusual thing, isn't it? So this car that I thought might be finished today, but I don't know. It depends on how this goes, doesn't it? Car is supposed to be a model of the winner of the 1965 Indianapolis 500. They had been running rear engine cars for since about 63, I think, was maybe even 62. They weren't terribly successful the first couple of years. They almost won in 64. They were doing pretty well, but one of them had a catastrophic tire failure. I mean, just because the tires on these are different than they were on the other cars, the Offie Roadsters. And it almost, seriously injured the driver, Jim Clark, so pulled it out of the race. And they were running two cars, and they pulled them out of the race. Well, one was damaged because, the tire blew up and the car crashed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on these sticky tack things. Because I'm just painting the ends, not the middle. And I need a place to hold them while they dry. And it gives me a chance to lean over and reach for something. Opportunity to knock stuff off. It's always a great thing to do. Okay. Now what I don't have, is because I wasn't planning to do any painting today. So what I don't have is I don't have my little palette and the water to rinse the brushes. So in addition to muttering and mumbling, I need to leave the area here to move out from behind the camera. And I need to get those things. And I will be back in just a few minutes. Right there. Well, the good news, as much as there ever is in building these models, is that the parts, it looks like I can get the parts to fit. That's good. Bad news is that I needed to do a bunch of touching up here. Not a bunch, a little bit of. I needed to do some touching up, which is going to add like half an hour or something to the time it'll take to get these attached. And what I've done, while the paint is drying, I'm going to clean up a little bit because things got out of control again. There were things I needed, but now I don't. I actually have a lot of cleaning up to do because I need to put the completed models away. I need to doing relaxing painting. Look at that. Hope you're finding it relaxing. It's okay. It's not a real strenuous kind of thing. As long as I don't knock them off the sticky tack and drop them on the floor and lose them or mess them up somehow. Things that are very possible. the other thing that's really possible is that I go through the trouble of touching these up and then discover that I've missed some spots anyway. That's possible too. I need to paint it here. What's up with that? There's probably some other spots on here too where the paint didn't adhere extremely well to the plating. The whole thing was chrome plated. It was really, really stupid. Okay, well, now the paint needs to dry. Then I get to attempt to put the parts on. Or basically, essentially, there's going to be like 40 minutes into this, and I'll be starting from scratch. I just lost about a half hour of model building time here. Is what's happening. In that time, I don't need these pictures anymore. This is a pretty nice picture, because I figured out where the only place that I figured out how to attach the bottom, but the only place to attach the top, there's just one spot. So it has to be there. I've got some more pictures of the car, especially this one, the cockpit. I'm going to show you that again while I'm chatting about it. I actually thought about trying to fabricate the ignition wires, which would go just in front of the exhaust here. But I decided that would be a bad idea. It would take forever and not come out all that well. Well, I can't talk about, I can show you the box tops. I can show you why these pictures are interesting. So you can see this is the car, the real car. You can see that, you can't see it, now you can, that the seat is red, the steering wheel is red, okay? And at the back of the seat has these black bolsters with this other one kind of in between. The idea, I guess, now they've got big head and neck restraints, but back then all you had was this little inset headrest with these tiny little bolsters on the sides. Okay. But this model was the 1964 model, not the 65 model, and that's how they thought the seat was supposed to be. Yeah, not the same. But what was kind of weird and was just amazing, actually, is that this is how the seat, and that's how the seat was modeled. It came way up like that with that kind of angular top. These bolsters were molded into the back part of the car. They were molded into this bit that went on here, like that. Not on the seat where they should have been, because that's how the seat was supposed to look, but they were actually there. The model makers someone who didn't talk to the people who designed the seat, and talk to the people who designed the seat, but they looked at this and said, oh, look, that's supposed to be there. It's almost as though they thought this was part of the car and not part of the seat, and they molded it into this shell that goes around the seat. So what I was able to do was cut off the top of the seat, okay, the part that goes up way too high here. Okay, you can see it goes all the way up to the roll bar. Cut that off, thin this out, okay, so that the thickness of this plastic was very thin, and then cement the seat behind it. So it looks pretty much like this is part of the seat now in the model that I built, not the model kit. Okay. The other things that are obvious is that it's not chromed exhaust. It's yellow, and mine is painted yellow. And these are uncovered in the 64 car, but they're covered by these covers on the 1965 cars. So they actually supplied the covers with the model. So it's like they tried to modify the model in such a way that it kind of looked like the 1965 car, even though it was the model itself is the 64 car. It's just, I talked about that many times, and I'm still grumping about it. Like, how could they do that? Well, at least I've got those things out of the way, kind of. Okay. Well, the paint is getting closer to drying, so I'm getting closer to looking at putting these suspension parts on. And I guess I'm going to start on this side of the car because this is the side that's showing. This is slightly smaller than that. Yep, you can see the size difference. So this one's going to go there, and then this one is going to go there somehow. I'm using contact cement because the regular model cement isn't going to hold because the paints are already painted. Yeah, they are parted. They're also painted. And CA glue would be a great choice. I've talked about this too. It'd be a great choice for someone who is fairly certain that they could get the part in exactly the right place right away, as opposed to me, who is pretty certain that I will not be able to get the part in exactly the right place right away, and that it would need to be adjusted. So this is sort of forgiving, okay, in that it gives one a little bit of time to adjust the location of the part. Put my head magnifiers on, believe it or not. I really can't see what I'm doing here. Any little contact points, they just practically no place for these things to actually adhere. This bottom one is not too hard. It's all pretty clear where things are supposed to go. The top one, so much. One will see soon how this goes. I'm actually going to try to put the top one in first. But so I don't have to reach over it. And there we go. Let's just drop it. It's always a good start. Bit of adhesion there. It's actually, that's going to stick. Get the bottom one in. Well, the important part is that they don't fall off. Look there, they're in place. Okay, that kind of worked. That's what they look like from the top, which is what they're supposed to look like. And I get to turn this over. Attempt to do the same thing this side. Oh, okay, that needs paint touching up in exactly the same place as the other one did. I'm going to do what I should do here, which is to test fit the parts. I mean, that they fit on the other side doesn't mean that they're going to fit on this side. It just doesn't. I think that it would, but it doesn't. That one does. Actually, pretty close to not needing any adhesive at all. Yep. And that one will go there. Might need a touch of paint. Okay. Well, need to do the thing with the toothpick and the cement like I did with the other one. The cement. Yeah, know where the toothpick went. I mean, I can find another toothpick, but it's just disappearing. Things disappeared. I need to put these back on again so I can see the little opening where the cement goes. getting it in the totally wrong spot. That would have been bad. Goes right in here. Right at the tippy top of this thing here. And then I should have left them on the now I need to make sure I got the right one in the right place. It is the slightly smaller one. So as I did with the other one, I'm going to put the top one on first. Okay. They are attached, which means that they're on there and it's sticking. That's a big deal. It's actually quite a big deal that these are actually on there and they're not falling off. So the next thing that needs to be done is these guys need to go like that. Just like that. And that looks pretty straightforward, and I hope it is. So I'm going to put contact cement on only one side. And sometimes it does work. So it's not symmetric. It doesn't really push through. I can't really push it through. I have to twist it. And, well, I don't need to mess with that until it's time to put the wheels on. No, this needs to be done. So I'm going to do that. Goes up like that, and then that, and then it's supposed to be straight. And I'm going to be matching it up with the top here. has to be done. I mean, eventually it has to be done. So I'm going to get on with it. Hi, Who. Yeah, I will. I'm going to move this out of the way before I start. Do a flip. Thanks for joining in. I'll do paint and no paint. Paint. No paint. No paint. It was almost paint. 3-1. 3-2. 4-2. Okay. Random continues to work. I mean, it really does. I was talking about this before, that I'll get 3-3 and 4-2. Fairly, both of them are fairly common. I think I've gotten a 5-1, one side versus the other, like maybe once or twice. It's pretty rare. Have never gotten a 6-0 on the flip. Well, if I can get these covers on, that will be a good thing, because that will be yet more progress. What I want to do is get contact cement on these in several places, but I want it to be on the inside. I mean, I don't want it to ooze out. So I want it to be like on the inside edge, because it messes up the paint. Just to be much of it. It's just enough so it kind of adheres to the corners. When I practiced putting this on, I got it on just right 3 times in a row. Let's see what happens when it's for real. We don't want to see what happens when it's for real. Can't see a thing anymore. It's so dark green against dark green. Yeah, it looks okay. It didn't fall off. I'm lining it up with this line across. Use this line right here. Lining it up with that. Okay, I need to rotate it without messing up the decals. There's really no good place to grip this thing without messing up the decals. So this side, these are all wobbly, but they'll be covered up, so that's not too much of an issue. I'm just going to leave these on, I think, at this point. There. Okay, well, those are on, and that's how it's supposed to look. Yay! It's trying to get the back of that tighter against the body of the car. Okay, now the next thing is this. This is the roll bar. It's like that. So okay. So the issue is that this is a little narrower than the body of the car, and if I put contact cement on here and here, and then put it down onto the car, it'll smear it. So I'm going to try to do this by, like I did with this, just putting it on one side, just in the openings where they go in, but not on the bar itself. And hopefully it'll stick. Out in a moment. Didn't pop off. I just love these old cars. This is all the head protection that the driver has. That little roll bar. And that's how serious injuries and actually fatalities happened in these cars. These head injuries, they would, like the car would get out of control and slam this head first into a barrier. And, if the impact was up here and not on the roll bar, bang, massive head injury. It's unpleasant, wasn't it? But that was these cars were incredibly lethal. It probably need to paint that. Just leave it. And I'm going to put a tiny bit of paint on that. Just a little dab. Tiny little dab of paint. Because I can see it even without my head magnifiers. So the roll bar isn't falling off. That's a good thing. All right, so I got the suspension on, I got these scoops on, I got the roll bar on. Now I need to do the side view mirrors. I haven't done much with those in terms of test fitting. Not really sure how it's going to go. So the side view mirrors have been just an incredible problem on this model. Part of the problem is that they were extremely poorly molded. Well, now it's a problem too. It just fell apart. Okay, well, I'm going to have to fix that. So, well, I'll show you the other one as this one is hopefully re-adhering. It might take a while if I have to dink around with repairing these and rearranging them. So the mirrors, when they came off the sprue, because they were injection molded, it's a pretty big part. Okay, the plastic didn't fill the mold, and so there was just this huge divot right here in the front of the mirror. And I spent like 3 times filling it in and priming and painting before I got it so that it's fairly flat. I mean, it's fairly flat. There's still some flaws in it, but it took a long time just to of experimenting with all sorts of different things. Oh, and look, and the paint is scratched on that. So after I get this to actually adhere, maybe. This little other piece of plastic, I'm going to need to be doing some paint touching up. Say, what's up these little pieces of plastic? Well, what's with these is that the great, and they're not, and there's no good place to grip them either. Well, this one broke, so this gives me an opportunity to, no, I just need to get it to stick. There's just, see this little tab here? It's supposed to go to this little opening that doesn't really exist. There's supposed to be like a little slot there. And that tab is supposed to go into it. But the little slot doesn't really exist. And the little tab doesn't really exist. The actual real car, these mirrors are attached using a piece of metal like that. It's attached to a bracket. So I'm going to attach it to the window like that. The way it really should go. I hope I can find it. I'm going to be gone for a while as I attempt to find it. There it is. Okay, this isn't working. Whole thing's just messed up. Supposedly supposed to go. I wonder if I can do that. I wonder if since this has fallen off anyway. I could just attach it. I have to repaint these. Could just attach it, I guess. Yeah, they're round. So you grip them with the tweezers and they just fly off. It's supposed to go like that. I should do this in a box. Why in a box? Because when that happens, I wouldn't lose it. I'm going to just attach them to the very top of the windshield. It's just See much of any other way to do it. And I'd put these little tabs on it, and this one didn't break off. And the idea was to, this is a surface that, an attachment surface, right? Mm-hmm. That could be just attached to the windshield like that. But this one broke. I still think that's a good idea. What I'd like to do is angle it up so that it's not just sticking straight out, but that it's more like at an angle. Like that. Okay. So if this were side of the car, I need to make sure it's facing the right way so that the mirror is like here. So it would be like that. What I would need to do is file this down at an angle right there. Attach it to a piece of plastic like that. See what I'm saying? So it's like that. That would be the correct thing to do, is do a 45-degree angle here. I'm just going to do that. Even if it means this isn't finished till Friday. I could put the wheels on maybe yet, and then, but I'm going to do that with these mirrors. So I just need to make sure that one is on one side and one on the other, right? Oh man. Okay. Well, that's not magnifying anything. Okay. So if I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the mirror on this side. I file it down there. I'm not, no, not working the way it is. So maybe this will be okay. I'm going to have to pick those up before I step on them. Pick them up now because I need to see with them. So what I'm trying to do is get these mirrors to attach in a way that they'll hold. Okay, so at least they won't fly off, but also that looks sort of like it's supposed to. I attached the mirror to this little piece of plastic, which simulates the actual way the mirror was attached on the car. And it wasn't attached directly to it wasn't just a little prong that attached to the windshield. It was attached to a bracket that was attached to the windshield. That's what I'm attempting to do here. But I want them at an angle. Instead of attaching it point to point, I'm going to attach it like that. I fabricated these little pieces out of sprue. See, like this, because that's how the mirror is supposed to be. It's supposed to be up like that. I'm going to try to attach this then I'll paint it, repaint it. Angle's not perfect, but it's better than the 90-degree angle it was at. Great, yeah. So I don't need this right now. It's actually just dangerously in the way. Come on, roll bar, lean forward a little bit there. And I am going to get a little box. Because that's like the fourth time that little piece went flying. I really don't want to lose it. So beside this, and I want the darker contrast color anyway. I'm actually going to use model cement to hold this in place. I've it's down to the bare plastic there. And this, I'm just going to sand it off until it's down to the bare plastic again. Because I'm going to be painting it anyway. I'll need to paint it. But if I can make this happen, it will look much better than any other alternative. No, this is gray plastic. I kept waiting for it to be green. to go like that. Contact cement would actually, I'm just going to use this. It's just, I know it works. And it grips right away. And it grabs right away. So it gives me an opportunity. It sticks, and it gives me an opportunity to make some little adjustments as well. Yeah, sticks really well. It's upside down now. Flip over. Tiny little pieces, uncooperative, tiny little pieces. There. Try again. So that'll go on the windshield like that, and it will be at a pretty good angle. Okay, and now what do I do with this? Maybe I should stick it in here. Nowhere to hold it. Okay, well, I'll let that set. What's important is I break this other one off. Okay, detach it. What's important is that this one will be going on the left side of the car. This one will be going on the right. And I need to make sure that I don't have two lefts or two rights. You see this, how this is going to be flat against the windshield, and this will be up. So the other one needs to go the opposite. So it needs to be angled like that. I'm pretty sure that that's correct. And then so I just need to file it down on this side. I know I'm going to mess this up. But yeah, there's that. So yeah, file again. And this side. This side. get it the same 45-degree angle I got the other one at. This down, get all the cement and junk off of it. Right. This goes on like it did with the other one. That's been sitting open. That's not good. This needs to go on there somehow. There's no way to hold these things. Okay. Well, there. One goes on one side and one on the other. So if you're sitting in the seat, which you can't see, if you're sitting in this seat, these mirrors will be like that. One there and one there. I'm glad I did that. They're just going to look a whole lot better that way than they would if I tried some other way of putting them on. They need some some touching up paint, and and it just needs to set. Maybe I'll get to it yet today. I'm not sure. It depends on how well they set up. And it would be nice to get these on yet today. Well, The other thing is, it doesn't have wheels, right? So I'm going to scratch it out. Get the axles so that they're symmetric. See if these actually go on anymore. I test fit these some time ago. Yeah. 2 rear wheels can go on either side. That's not a problem, but the front ones don't work that way. It has to be on the left and one has to be on the right. This one is the left because it says L. And it should just slide right on there like that. And the one that says R should slide right on the other side. Like that. There. Now it looks like a car. And then there's these spinners go on. And the wheels are supposed to turn, but I don't know if they're going to end up turning or not. I'm not sure why that would matter. I haven't tested these. I don't know. Seriously, I don't know if they're going to fit on the axles. Yeah, it did. That's good. There. Okay, well, now it's got wheels. And the next task is to, I guess, put the spinners on. Yeah, so other than the side view mirrors, this is okay. So there's two sets of spinners. These go on the back. These go on the front. And maybe they'll hold the wheel on, maybe not. These wheels actually, you can see they actually turn a little bit. The suspension is set up so that they'll do that. Yeah. Well, putting the spinners on, that should be straightforward, but now it's not going to be because do I need to put this up on its side again? Yes, I do. In order to see what I'm doing. Well, okay. Do the same thing here. Put some adhesive on. Try to get them located where they're supposed to be. I should be doing this inside of a box also, because I really should. There's a really good opportunity here to lose these. like that. It stuck to my finger and it almost went flying. Pick this up and put the whole thing back into this box and use this box as my assembly box. To do everything with these on nowadays. There's no good place to grab this thing without potentially messing something up. What is, really? Hey, part of the suspension came loose there. Okay. Continuing the saga of this. I'll need to fix that later. It's leaking all over. I have to get my fingers in the contact cement so I can touch things and mess them up. So the front suspension bit, one of the prong came out of the hole there. It's supposed to not be cemented in because the wheels are supposed to actually turn a little bit. So that's what's going on there. After I get this on, then I can set it back down on its wheel and make sure that's not a problem. Right now, the wheel is just a real loose, wiggly mess. Okay, let me get this out of the way. There you can see the pin there. It just goes in there like that, and once it's in there, then it's fine. Make sure the spinners are right. Well, if that won't set, if that's not going to set right, I might just end up cementing it later just to do it. Maybe it's just because here it'll set right if I prop up this wheel a little bit. If I were to put a little piece of cardboard under it. I don't know why this is rocking like that. Oh, I see. Okay. I have a bigger problem than I thought. Yeah, the whole suspension came apart. Okay, the spinner is not behaving. This 82, there's the old decal, and it's messed up. So one other thing I'm thinking of doing, just sort of speculating about it, is I have the new decals. I guess this might be a really bad idea, but I don't know. If I can get it lined up perfectly, I really shouldn't be touching it like that. That was bad. It was bad. If I can line it up perfectly, well, this is much bigger than the other one too. I wonder if I can get that off. The car is, I don't know if you can see this, but the car is not, I mean, now that the wheels are on it, it's rocking on something. It's not square. I'm going to cut this out because I really don't like how worn out that is. But I'm wondering if this isn't too big. My pictures again. I see what the problem is. Okay. Yeah. So the old decal set, this is the problem. The problem is that the real car, the 1965 car, had a much broader nose. See that? Than the 64 car. The 64 car had this little narrow nose. And this was made for the correct nose. which is a much broader nose. But I'm going to cut it out just to see how big it is anyway, because the old decal, the black on the 82 is worn off a little bit. I'm not sure I can do anything about it other than try to remove it and see if this fits instead. So after all of this, we find out the car doesn't sit flat. Oh well. It was fine until the wheels came on because it was just sitting on its bottom. It turns out that the suspensions are not symmetric. It's not a surprise given how many little fiddly parts had to go into them. So if I use this, if it's not too big, it looks like it might be. I have to figure out how to get the other one off. Because they're sort of transparent. I mean, I think it would look okay. You can see it's way bigger than the other one. If I line up the bottom, it comes all the way up to there. Yeah, it's like massively huge compared to that. It might look okay on there, but this is made for the correct nose, not this nose. I think I'm not going to mess with it. And even though the paint is slightly worn on the decal, yeah, it is just made for a different vehicle. Oh, hi, I'm on. Yes and no. There is a radiator in here. There's a radiator right here. Okay. But that is to cool the oil, not the engine. I think. But yeah, there's a radiator right here in the front of the nose, actually right about here. Yeah, the suspensions don't quite line up. It's pretty sad. So the last things to do would be to attach these mirrors. And what am I doing on time? It's almost noon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's two parts of getting the air in. These scoops up here get the air into the car, into the engine. It's like the carburetor or the fuel injector kind of thing. It gets the air into the engine for the ignition. And then up here is the nose captures air for the radiator to cool it. Just looking to see if the spinners are, yeah, they're pretty straight. So I've got these mirrors. And I put them on new stands. So the driver sits back here, and the mirrors go there and there. Now they need to be painted, though. They need paint touch-up before I attach them. I forgot about that. I'm going to go ahead and the paint touch-up and let that dry, and then maybe get back to it in a bit. Is this the Monday game with Haroon? Oh, you've got a game on Friday. Okay. Well, your Shadow Sorcerer Changeling is kind of your main character, isn't it? Kind of. Got way too much junk in the way here. I need to clean some things up. Otherwise, I'm going to have a problem. Anyway. I found some boxes for model storage. I think I've got one that the Enterprise will fit in and the submarine both. I think it would be great if I could get them into that box. I don't know if it'll work or not, but it looks like it might. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Mm-hmm. Getting some paint out. I need to touch up the mirrors because when I redid the mounting system. And when I did that, it messed up the paint on it. So I just need to repaint them. Leave the silver guy out. Well, it's kind of disappointing that the thing doesn't sit flat, but not surprising given, the way that the suspension parts all work on this car. It kind of was working until it didn't. It's back on again. So, you're playing on Friday? Is this a makeup for one of the ones that you missed, or is this a different thing? to do this. I'm going to, in order to put the mirrors on, I'm going to set it on top of the box here so that it's up a little bit higher. Like that. I'm going to get stuff out of the way. I'm going to put the mirrors on. I decided to put the mirrors on before the contact cement is fully set on these brackets because they might have to be adjusted. I'm going to use the technique of just putting it on one surface, not both, because that seems to be working okay. And yeah, I'm going to put them on, and hopefully they'll be okay. This is the last bit. I'm going to put the left side on first because I'm right-handed. It's harder for me to get to that side. This one. That just spills every time. This is the way I set the brush up, and it just puts a big blob of cement into the top of the can. There's no good way to hold this because it's round like that. Try this. Just do this. See how it goes. It didn't fall off. I'm looking at it this way, and the mirror is pointing backward. That's all good. Put the other one on. See what happens, huh? The idea here is to get them symmetric so that what's on one side is, in the same location as the other side. Well, I have to say, that's actually not bad. I have to say that this is working. I mean, they're stuck on; they're not falling off. Bracket mechanism is effective. Moving this one up a little higher. Is it up too high? Dog's pitching a little fit out there. You know, I have to say, I think I did an okay job with this. They would not have gone on very well if I just stuck them on the way the model was designed. Okay, just would not have worked. This bracket thing is working okay. You know, they're symmetric. It looks okay at least from a distance. I'm going to declare this. It's really too bad that the whole thing, the suspension, is not flat. I'm going to have to just if this is displayed, I'm going to have to set it up so that it's like turning on a banked course or something, because the right side is higher than the left side, especially on the front. Just the way it is. Because after building all the suspension independently of each other, all the different parts, it's just not flat. And there was no way to know that until now, really. Okay. What I'm going to do is declare this finished. It is done. It's done. But I need to take a break. I'm just going to leave this on camera here, like that. Okay. And I'm going to be gone for just like 2 or 3 minutes, very, very quick, that kind of break. And I'll be back and probably take the camera and pan around on this a little bit, maybe rotate it on the box just to show what it looks like. And declare victory. So I'll be back in just a couple minutes. Okay. So I'm saying this is finished, and that's because I'm saying it's finished. What I'm going to do, I don't know if my camera guy can make this work. Here, I'm going to do this. Camera. And I'm going to rotate the box. And then you can see the dashboard. The dashboard came out, I think, pretty well. I got the exhaust painted correctly. The mirrors came out okay. Come on, camera guy. Work with me here. The sponsorship decals, not too bad, not too bad. When I got the new decal set, continuing the rotation. I'm particularly proud of the seat, because this is how the seat should look. And these bolsters were molded into the back right here, this whole piece on the back of the car. It's how the seat should look. And I was able to modify the seat and glue it to the back of this and make it look the way it should. So that came out okay. And I just rotate it around again and knock it off the box. Not very professional, is it? But, I have to work with my director and camera guy as it is. And the decals, again, the sponsorship decals and stuff came out okay. There's a couple of things wrong with it, and I just can't do anything about it. But for the most part, it looks like the car is supposed to look. If you can see it even the inside of the nose, I got painted yellow. See? And there's a radiator in there, just like it should be. Right. So there is an approximation of what the 1965 Indianapolis winter Lotus Ford looked like, given the kit that I was given to work with. And all the parts are on. So it's complete. And what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to use this as the storage box. Get up, break it. I'm even going to keep Silver Guy. Stupid little Silver Guy. I'm going to keep Silver Guy with it. Put it in this box and close the lid. Say goodbye. Say goodbye to the completed Lotus Ford. You ready? Here it goes. Goodbye. And I'm just going to label it. It's done. And that's what happens to models that are finished on this stream, is they end up in a box. Some of them are going to end up in a box over on a shelf. And I've got a bunch of models that are over on a shelf that need to be put in better boxes. And I've got boxes laying all over the place. And for the last week and a half, I have talked about I've talked to, these are retaining clips that don't fit and can't be used, but they're part of the model. So I'm gonna throw these in the box too. There. I've been talking about cleaning up down here and reboxing stuff, and I haven't done that. So what I have done, I'll let you keep looking at the box that says done, is I have here, I'll even move this out of the way. Look at that. I've completed a Fink that no one will remember. Fink Eliminator, one of the Ed Big Daddy Roth Fink models. I've completed one of those. I did the Renwall 1964 vintage cutaway submarine of the George Washington, the prototype Polaris launching nuclear submarine. That's over there under some paper towels. I completed the Apollo stack, which consists of the escape tower, the command module, the service module, the two parts of the lunar module, and the fairing for the lunar module. That's done. I got the Savoia S-21 finished. That came out really nicely. I'm very happy with that. That was Porco Rosso's plane. I did the Star Trek command bridge, and now the Lotus Ford. So let me count those. Fink, Submarine, Apollo, Savoia, Star Trek, and Lotus Ford. 6. I've done 6 models in my lifetime now that you had all watched. I'm going to just set this aside and talk about what would happen next. What should happen next is that I should go over there to those shelves and those boxes and box up the things that are done and put them away so that they're not just laying around potentially falling apart. I should do that. Will I? I don't know. Maybe not. What's going to happen next? I had planned to do the X-15 because this was one of my favorite planes growing up. I was like in elementary school when this thing flew, setting all sorts of amazing records. Okay, just really an amazing plane. And I found a 1/48th scale model of this, which was hard to find because there are most of them are 1/72nd. There are some 1/44th. There is a 1/68th for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, the lights are all shining on it. Yeah, this high quality studio that I don't have to work in here. But I found one. It was made in the Czech Republic of all places. And I like to build 1/48th scale because I just do. And I was going to build this next, but there's 2 reasons why I am thinking now I won't. Okay. One reason is I looked this up like I did with the Aurora that I almost built, not the Aurora Model Company, but the rumored Aurora hypersonic plane from the 1980s and 90s. And that ended up being worth $95 on eBay, sold at $95. So I thought, well, I'm not going to build that. And I built the Enterprise bridge anyway. And then I thought, well, I'll look this up. In a 1/32nd scale with the same box top cover is listed for like $120, and 1/72nd scale is listed for like 60. And so I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe I don't want to destroy the value of the model. Maybe I should just resell it. That was one reason why I might not build that. The other is that I got a request to build this instead. Alexis, who is our DM, really loves the Pogo because it's such a bizarre plane. It was and who thought it was, vertical takeoff, right? A vertical takeoff transitioning into level flight. And they actually built this and flew it. Seriously, they did. In order to get in, you had this gigantic ladder. Okay. You walked up probably like 8 or 10 feet. A long way up. You can see the pilots like this. So it's probably maybe 10 feet up this really horrible little metal ladder. There isn't even any side rails or anything. And onto a tiny little platform, and then work your way up into the cockpit without falling, and smashing your head against the vertical stabilizer, right? You had to do that. And then you just sat here, and then it actually worked. The counter-rotating propellers lifted it off, and you could get into level flight. You can imagine, though, and this was a real problem, of, you get back up and you're hanging by the propeller like a helicopter, and you're trying to land this thing, and all you got are these tiny little wheels, are like furniture casters. Actually, they really are. I think that might be what they are, is repurposed furniture casters, and you're supposed to somehow bring this back down. And of course, you can't see anything unless you got a nice mirror up here that lets you come back down. This is a 1/48 kit as well. I'm not going to look. I don't think this is terribly valuable. But the reason I got what I wanted to do is I got this out, and I'm thinking I'm going to build this next, because I can't use a airbrush, because I just can't, because I just make a mess of everything. Paint goes everywhere, not just the spraying of the paint, but the paint that goes into the airbrush and the cleaning up of it, and everything else is really, really awful. But I can do this with spray paint. Okay, I can paint this red. I'm going to use the red that I use for the Savoya actually on this probably. I can get black paint for the propellers and for the tail tip. And I can get silver paint, spray paint. And so I can build this kit using spray paints, put on the decals, and then do an overcoat. In this particular case, after the decals are put on, I'm going to put a semi-gloss or gloss coat on it, I think, just to make the decals look correct. On the other hand, I could just cut out each of these letters separately, and it depends on how these other little bits are. But I knew the X15 I could spray paint. I could spray paint it black and then put a dull coat overcoat on it. Okay, I could do that. But I can do that with this kit. So I'm going to build the Pogo and not the X15. I know those of you who are looking forward to the X15, well, you'll just have to wait. Sorry. Pogo for... It doesn't fit. I can't get it. Can't put things away. You can't even hear me rattling now because set it up like that. Okay, that decision having been made just now, I just made it this morning. That isn't what I was planning to do. I was planning to start the X15. I wasn't sure I'd be able to finish the Lotus Ford, which is now in a box and you'll never see it again unless you look up, some of these episodes on YouTube or something. Otherwise, it's in a box, gone, ta-da. But this is next. Let's see what's in it. So on Monday, I was saying that I'm going to be traveling again. Oh, wow. Look at these pictures. This is what it's supposed to end up looking like. I hope it does. It's the weirdest little plane. It's like this bulbous kind of thing with a gigantic canopy. Yeah, just bizarre. And the canopy, that's interesting though. The canopy, whoever made this model didn't paint in the lines, the plexiglass lines. You can see them here. They just put the canopy on, but you can see the lines on the clear canopy where the frame was supposed to be. When I build this, I can mask that and paint in the frame. I'm not sure why they didn't do that. Yeah, and that's how it looks like when it's in level flight. And as you can see, you can't land it. There's no way to land it. So I had to flip and then land on these little casters. Recommended for ages 10 and over. Well, I'm safe then. So let's see what's in the box. There's the protective plastic wrap, destroying its collectible value because people only collect these things if they're in the original shrink wrap, and then they never build the model, and so what's the point? I don't know. This is a newer model. The Savoia was the most recently produced model that I built so far. Then the submarines were actually kits from the mid-1960s. Okay, they really were old kits. This Lotus Ford was a reproduction, a 1970s reproduction. So the kit was from the 70s of a kit that was first built around like 1966, which was when I built the first one. The Enterprise Command Bridge was a 25th anniversary edition made in the 90s, like 91 or 92 or something like that. And the Apollo model was a history maker from, I think, the 90s as well. So all of these kits are really old, some of them almost as old as me, like the submarine. But this is recent. This is, I think, made, I don't know, there's probably a copyright date on the instructions. I'll see. But it's newer, which the reason I'm saying that is I'm hoping that it was actually better built, that the injection molding quality is better. There we go. It's the box, the top of the box doesn't come off completely. It opens like this. All right. So it's all white plastic. So there'll be, it doesn't look very good. Doesn't look great. There's, nice decal set though. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll have to decide when it comes to doing these decals exactly how I'm going to do them. What I may end up doing, I've done this before, is like cutting out each letter separately so that there isn't a decal showing, so it looks like they're painted on. I can't do that with the Convares. All the parts are still sealed in their plastic. Yeah, a bunch of little fiddly things. Those are like probes, I think. It's going to be the typical sort of thing where the two halves have to come together, and there will be a seam that needs to be sanded down without destroying the detail of like the rivet lines and things like that. I'm not going to open this and dump the parts out yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a clean paper towel, part of one anyway, and I'm going to wrap the decals because stuff's going to be going in and out of this box, parts and things, and I don't want them to be messed up. Oh, there's the canopy. Great. They managed to put that in the box so it can get all scratched up without being covered. But yeah, you can see, of course, there's a mar on it from being rattling around in the box. But there are very clear lines where the frame is, okay, the frame lines that really should be painted the same aluminum color as the rest of the plane. And for some reason, it's really unusual that they didn't paint them. The demo model, they didn't paint them. I'm going to also wrap this up in a paper towel so it doesn't get screwed up any more than it already is. Pour that in there. And I'm going to read this. Before beginning, read through all instructions. Plastic parts are identified by number. That's good. Test fit in place before cementing. That is a really good idea. The only cement recommended for polystyrene. That's this stuff. And I'll actually be using this on this model quite a bit. Because before painting or fixing decals, wash plastic parts with a mild detergent, rinse thoroughly. That's really a good idea. I didn't do that with some of the others. And everything's in Spanish and even in German. Nice. So I'm actually going to be using this a fair amount on this because a lot of these parts will be put together before they're painted. Oh, there's more decals. Huh. These are sort of flitted around. Oh, this is an important one because it says danger. And this one says fire system, static vent. It's good to have a fire system. These up too then. Tear off a paper towel. It's good that I'm not doing anything the last half of this because that's when things go awry. Okay. I'm glad I saw that. That fell out of the instruction sheet. These chrome parts? Well, the propellers are actually supposed to turn. Look, they got some sort of gearing that goes on the inside of this. So if you turn one, the other one turns the other direction. I wonder if that's actually going to work. That would be pretty cool if it did. You can see there's not a lot of parts. Actually, the ladder has as many parts. This is good. There aren't a lot of parts. All of these get cemented together. Okay. and there are going to be seams, nasty seams along the edges of the wings where the fuselage and the wings meet, along the center of the fuselage. So after they're cemented together, there's going to be a whole lot of really delicate sanding so that I can get the seams filled so that they don't show, but without sanding away a lot of the detail. Okay, I don't want to sand away the detail, and hopefully the parts fit together well enough that I don't need to do a lot of filling in. Oh, the wheels even rotate. Oh, that's really cool. So the little furniture casters, they actually are here. I don't think you can see them through the plastic. The furniture casters have these really long struts on them. Okay, doesn't make sense because that doesn't show. But the way it's set up is they get embedded in the wings. Okay, and then you cement it together without cementing those in place, so that the little furniture caster wheels will rotate. I mean, the wheels themselves don't rotate; they're just molded right onto this, but they'll rotate like around inside the wing. You can see how that's put together there. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of seams that need to be very, very carefully sanded. But once the wings are put together, okay, the tops and the bottoms, and then those will be prepped. And then the two halves of the fuselage will be put together, and those will be prepped all the way around. There's a lot of seams up and around the vertical or the vertical stabilizers, top and bottom. Okay, and then the wings attach, and that has to be cleaned up because there's going to be a seam showing there. Okay, that needs to be cleaned up. And then the whole thing, all of this will be spray painted aluminum. Okay, the wheels will already be embedded in the wing, so I'll just tape those so that they don't get oversprayed. Because I'll be painting the wheels and the whole things that hold them. What did the GM think about the Tiefling? Yeah, so test fitting parts. The canopy, there's no detail inside the canopy. Nice, that I can see. I'll put it together. Usually these things have really clear instrument panels and stuff, but it doesn't look like this one might. Yeah, they want you to put together the propeller first. I'm a little surprised at that. Spin says carefully insert landing gear. I think these parts need to be painted before they're assembled, because if they're painted after it's assembled, there's a chance the paint could gum up the way the thing spins. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is actually pretty cool. This is actually set up so that the propellers do counter rotating. That's just amazing. So I'll have to see how that works. Oh my! Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, that's really cool. I was looking at these and I thought, well, they'll just sit there, right? They'll just sit there. But these actually extend. They're retracting furniture casters. Landing gear. go up and down. So there's the propellers are supposed to turn, and the landing gear go up and down. Really cool. Yeah. So, yeah, this should be, this will be, there'll be some fiddly bits about this, but it is a model that I can spray paint, which is really important. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to build it. And the tips, there's no painting guide. Nice. Yeah, just the tip on the top, it's upside down. Sorry about that. You can see it here. The tip on the top and the bottom are painted black. That will have to be painted on later. And then, as usual, the area in front of the canopy right here is painted flat black so that there's not a reflection. And I think I'm going to be, I should be able to tape that pretty effectively. After this thing is painted silver, I'll be painting the black on the tips, on the top and the bottom, and in front of the canopy. I'll do that after the thing is painted silver. And it's just a matter of very carefully masking it. This wouldn't be too hard on the tops and the bottoms. This has little circular things on it. But it's a flat surface, so I think it should be okay. Yeah, there it is. And what are these things? These little pointy bits. I'm not sure what those are. They don't show up in the instructions. There's 117. Are those? Oh my God. Huh. Oh, those are bits of the ladder. And they gave me 3 of each, and they only need 2 of each. They gave me extras in case I messed up the ladder. Got the pilot seat? Seriously? This? Let's just say this does not have a highly detailed canopy. In fact, it is like undetailed. All there is some little molded in bits up here. Wow. Okay, well, there's lots of rivet lines anyway. Lots of rivet lines on the plane. I'm going to put the ladder together first, seriously, because it actually looks like one of the more difficult things to build. Just getting the parts, together. They're really tiny little parts to get them together and to line up. It's the kind of thing that it's supposed to be square like that. You could end up making a diamond shape out of it because the parts didn't line up when they were cemented together. So those are the railings for the top. It's a platform that you get to stand on and try not to fall off of. I don't know what that is. That doesn't look like it belongs to anything at all. Maybe it's a nameplate when I turn it over. Looks like it would be a nameplate. Yeah. There's 2 number 17s. Yeah, they gave 2 of them, and they're different sizes. I'm not sure what's up with that. These are the pitot tubes. That tells you what your airspeed is. Okay, well, this will be interesting. I'm glad I picked this. It'll be fun to build. And like I said, I can get the silvery spray paint, and I can, after the body is assembled, I should be able to spray paint it pretty effectively, and then build it so that it looks okay. We'll see. And I probably, unlike this, I probably will paint the they didn't, but the metal frame for the canopy, because they just, for the box top, they didn't do it. So I'm going to start working on this on Friday. They haven't seen the tiefling yet? Which one are you going to play? The one with wings or the ones without? Sure. So I'm going to need to get I'm going to get spray paint for this. I don't have silver spray paint, and I don't have flat black. I'm sure that those are pretty easy to come by. So at some point after the assembly I have paint for the ladder, so that will work okay. But sometime after this assembly is done on the fuselage, I'll need to go to the hobby store and get the correct paint. If I knew how to airbrush things, I have the paint and I would be able to do that, but I don't, so I won't. Yep, flat black, silver, and maybe a clear coat. I'm not sure. Here's some color recommendations. Yeah. Pilot suit. Tan or khaki. Black shoes. That's good to know. The pilot seat can be either green or silver. I think I'm going to paint them green. Dull black instead of flat black. The prop hubs, their tips, and anti-glare panel. You always have to put yellow tips on these propellers so that when they're spinning, you can see them so you don't walk into them. They don't talk about the body of the plane. Really? They don't talk about painting the body silver. That's just so weird. It's not supposed to be white like that. Okay, so I need to get flat black and silver paint. I've got yellow. I can do that. I'll just hand brush that on. I've got red paint. Yeah, this will be interesting to do that. So I'll put this back on camera like that. And put the instructions back in here. On Friday, I will be unboxing this and starting assembly. And like I said, I'm probably going to start with the ladder. Just do that because I can get that put together and I've got the paint for it. And then I'll start getting the parts for the body. I know they say put the propeller thing together first, but the whole body needs to be assembled and the seams cleared up and everything before it's painted. And so I can get a lot of the assembly done before it's painted. And then when I get the flat black paint, then I'll be able to work on the spinner bed up here and see if it actually does counter rotate propellers, because there's gears inside that are supposed to rotate. Well, thanks everybody. I'm on. Okay. I hope you have a good session, and looking forward to seeing you on Friday as I start working on the pogo. I really appreciate you dropping in and continuing to talk about your characters. And yeah, it's time for me to grab a little bit of lunch before my blood sugar totally drops. And yeah, next week, I need to mention this, and I'll mention it again on Friday. I'll be working on Monday and Wednesday next week. Okay, but then starting on Friday, I'll be gone that Friday and the entire week after that. Agent Ishtar. Okay. That's a good name. I like that. So yeah, I'll be here Friday and next week, Monday and Wednesday, and then I'll be gone for a week and a half after that. But I'll remind everybody as I get closer and closer to that happening. Sometime between now and when I shortly, hopefully before I go on this trip, I'll be able to go and get the spray paint for this. You know, haven't made a trip to the hobby shop in a while anyway, so that'll give me an excuse to do that. But it's time to wrap up. I'm going to be building the pogo. I know that's a little bit of a surprise. It's a surprise to me too. But I thought I'd open the model and take a look at it and see if it's something I could get done. And it is. And then this, I don't know how quickly this will go. A lot of it depends on how well the parts all fit together. Ah, okay. If he has wings, then he, okay. So it's good to do the wingless character. That would be fun. I'll see you on Friday, Ishtar. Okay. See you then. Thanks for dropping in and asking for a flip who. And yeah, Pogo next. Here we go. See you. Bye.